So since Adobe XD is a vector-based program, we can make some icons. So that's what we're going to be doing in today's video. So if you want to make your own icons instead of having to use a pack, this is how you can do this. So I'm just going to set a custom artboard size of 24 pixels by 24 pixels to start. The reason I'm doing this is because 24 by 24 is a good starting size to create an icon. I'm going to double click on the artboard name and let's rename this to icon. Also off camera just now, I went ahead and saved my document as icons. Now it's up to you what icons you want to make, but in this video we're going to make some icons that are commonly used in UI UX design. The first most common thing you'll probably use is a hamburger menu, and this is just 3 lines. So we'll start really simple. I'm just going to grab a line and hold shift and drag out. So again, it's up to you how you want to style this, but for this set we're going to go with a nice stroke size of 1. And we're going to try to make sure everything is consistent so our stroke width is not going to change throughout any of these designs. So I'm just going to center up this to my artboard using my align tools to double check this. And then I'm going to hold Alt to drag out. And then I'm going to hold Alt and drag out another one. And for now we have 4 spacing. I'm just going to zoom out and see how this is looking. Next up, I'm just going to click and drag and select all of my elements. And then I'm going to change the cap to a rounded cap. Let's just increase the height of this by 1 pixel. So I'm going to use up on the arrow key on my keyboard and then down on the keyboard for that one. And we also need to shrink this in a little bit. So I'm going to select all and then I'm going to hold Alt and just drag in slightly. And you can keep modifying this until you're happy. I'm going to call this good. To finish this icon up, what I like to do in Adobe XD is grab my rectangle tool and create a rectangle the full size of my artboard to 24 by 24. I'm then going to remove the border and send it all the way to the back using Command or Control Shift left square bracket key. I'm going to turn the opacity all the way off so that no one can see it, and I'm going to grab all of my elements. So I'm just going to drag and grab them all. So that's my 3 lines and my 0% opacity square. Next, I'm going to hit Command or Control G to group it. And so now our icon is finished. So if I drag this out, you'll see when we hover over it, we have all this white space. And the reason I did that is because when we designed this, I made it so that we had that space intentionally. So that when we use this with other icons in our pack that we're going to create, everything looks nice and consistent, and you don't have to worry with the spacing so much. To finish this up, I'm just going to select these 3 lines. So I'm going to double click until I enter the group, select the first one and hold shift and grab the other 2. I'm just going to change this to solid black, and I'm going to click away and then select the entire grouping and hit Command K to create a symbol. We'll just call this nav. Next, I'm going to hold Alt and drag over to make a duplicate of this, and we'll just select the symbol and delete it. So now we have a blank artboard. For the next icon, we can make an arrow, and with the arrow, we can make 4 icons very fast because all we have to do is rotate it and then make it a symbol. So I'm going to grab the pen tool, and over here on the side of the artboard, I'm going to click a point. Then I'm going to hold shift so that my line is nice and straight at an angle. And I'm going to click in a point. Continuing to hold shift, I'm going to go back to the side of the artboard. Once I've done that, we can center align this to the artboard. And I'm going to hold Alt and drag down. That's a little too high. And we don't want this to be very large. This is going to be a small arrow icon. So I'm going to hold shift and Alt as I drag the corner till about there. So again, we want to keep things consistent, so we're going to round the ends. So I'm going to hit the round cap. And now we have a point here. So to match that, we can select this icon right here, which will round the joint. So let's zoom out. I think that's a pretty good size. So to finish this icon up, we'll turn it to black. And then we will create that square again. Set it to 0% opacity and send it all the way to the back. Select both that square and our icon and hit Command G or Control G to group it together. Once we're done with that, Command K or Control K, and we can create the symbol as arrow. And then we'll type in the direction it's facing, which is left. Like I said, now we can create 3 other quick icons. So I'm just going to drag this down. So once we have all 3 of these copied, I'm going to select all 3 and hit Command Shift G to ungroup them. Then I'm going to rotate our icons the other directions, grab them and the square and hit Command G to group, Command K to make a new icon. So this one will be arrow right. And I'll repeat that process. So this is arrow down. And arrow up. So like that, we have 5 quick icons. Now let's get to some more advanced icons. These are using basic lines. So I'm going to hold Alt and drag out a copy and delete the symbol. So now we have another blank artboard. And on this one, we're going to make a user profile icon. So first I'm going to grab my ellipse tool and hold Shift to drag out a circle. So we're going to make an outline set, so this won't be filled. So I'm going to go ahead and remove the fill and turn on a border of black. I'm going to hit P on the keyboard for the pen tool. And here at the bottom of the artboard, anywhere you like, I'm just going to click. And I'm going to go around there and make another point. And go down there. So basically we made another arrow. I'm going to double click on our shape. And then on this joint, I'm going to double click to round this out. So then I'm going to drag out holding Shift until I get a round body that I'm happy with, something like that. Then with the pen tool selected, we can then finish off our shape. Again, we need to keep things consistent, so we'll round the cap and the joint just to be sure, and we'll set that to black. So I'm going to select both of these and horizontally align them together. We'll drag this up a little bit. Command G to group that and center it to the artboard. I'm actually going to scale the entire thing down just a little bit. And again, to finish this, we need that square. So we'll drag that out. Selecting both and Command G, Command K. So now we have a user icon, a hamburger menu, and our arrows in all directions. Let's create another artboard and delete the symbol. This time, let's make a chat icon. So I'm gonna grab the rectangle tool and just drag out a simple rectangle, about like that. Center that up to the artboard. And then with the pen tool, I'm just gonna click a point, hold Shift, and continue to hold Shift until we have a shape like that. And then we'll just drag this somewhere around there. Gonna round off the joint. And let's go over here to the square and let's set this to, actually let's just round the joint and see how that looks. So now we need to combine these shapes together. So we'll go up here and select add, and that will make them into one shape. And we need to turn off the fill since we're doing an outlined icon set. And then we can horizontally and vertically center this to our artboard. So let's zoom out and take a look at that. That's a little big, so we'll scale it down. Holding Shift and Alt. And I like the square size, but I don't like how far down this point goes. So I'm gonna double click to enter the group and I can just drag that up a little bit. Let's also round the corners of this. I'm not liking that. So I'll just click and drag until I'm happy. And let's actually move this over just slightly. So again, we'll center it up and that should look pretty good. So let's change the border to black. And then drag in our square for the spacing. Group it and add it to the symbols panel. So lastly, we'll make a settings icon. So I'm just gonna hold Alt and drag over one final time and clear the artboard. For this one, I'm going to grab the rectangle tool and I'm just gonna drag out a rectangle onto the screen. I'm gonna center it up to the artboard. So with this rectangle, I'm gonna hold Alt and drag in to make it just a little bit thinner. So now we're at 3 pixels wide. I'm gonna hit Command C, Command V, or Control C, Control V, and then hold Shift and rotate this. I'm gonna repeat this process a few times. This time we'll set this to 135 degrees, and we'll do this one more time, setting it to 225. Next, what I'm going to do is grab the ellipse tool and hold Shift and drag out a circle. I'm going to center this up to the artboard, and then I'm going to hold Shift and Alt and drag out till I'm happy. We'll just go with there for now. Next, what I'm going to do is select everything and hit add. And then finally, we need a circle to cut out of the middle. So we'll just stick that there. Select both of them and select subtract. Next, we can remove the fill and then turn the border to black. We can round the caps just for good measure and then round the joints. Also, we need to round the joints on these rectangles. So I'm going to double click until we get inside of the grouping. I'm going to select all of the rectangles and I'm going to round the joints. And then we will also set a border radius of, let's go with 10 pixels. That's a little too much. Let's just try 2, maybe 1. There we go. All right, so I've made the adjustments. I'm not liking how this is looking. So over here, we can adjust how the stroke is aligned. So we have the inner stroke. If we try outer stroke, we can zoom out and take a look at that. That one's okay, but then I'm gonna divide this. I think I prefer that one. So with that done, I'm then going to create my square for the background. Select the square and the icon, Command G, Command K, and we can call this settings. And like that, we have a few icons that we can use in our design. So this is a really great way to create some icons that you can customize yourself. And with Adobe XD, you have complete control. Everything is non-destructive. So if I want to change something, I can double click on it and edit the group at any time. So that's it for this lesson. Have a great day, and I'll see you in the next one.